All right.
It's
So we're
thinking.
live on Facebook. We're just going to take a minute to get live on
Hold on.
Zoom.
It's-
Thanks for joining us on Facebook today. This is an exciting call with the Resonance Science Foundation. A special update call from Nassim, and we've got many of our faculty and our team here. We have some wonderful news for you today, so we're glad that you're joining us. We're just getting live on Zoom right now, so give us a moment to do that. Jamie, I think you just need to push start the broadcast up at the top of your screen there. Great, here we go. Now we're attendees are coming in. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to this special Resonance Science Foundation session today. You can see everybody here on the screen. We have Nassim and some of our faculty, William and Marshall and Olivier, Jamie. We have Andrea from the Art Crystal joining us today. We have some of our teammates, Penny, I think Adams just joined. So wonderful to have you all on. If you're coming on right now onto our Zoom line, please take a moment to put your name and where you're calling from in the chat. And if you're new to the Resonance Science, you haven't been involved in the Academy, let us know that you're new because we really are excited to welcome you today on the call. A little bit later in the call, after Nassim has some opening words and shares about this exciting new gift that he hinted about in some of the emails that you've gotten, we'll be able to open up for some Q&A time. Nassim said he'd make some time today for us to be able to ask questions, and the faculty will be able to also help with that. Look how many people right now. We have 2,500 people on the call. The chat is going wild. It's super exciting. Look at all the places people are coming from, Nassim. This is just so fun. Why don't we go to you? I'm going to spotlight your video, Nassim, so that we can see you. Super excited to have this opportunity to be with you today. Thanks so much for taking the time. And yeah, there you are, spotlighted.
Here we are, all from home in this very important time in history. I'm so glad to be able to connect with the community and, to feel all of you out there. We're a little bit isolated. We're in a moment of going into our caves and in forced isolation. And this call could be about everything that's going on in the world, but I think we all know what's going on out there, and there's some level of saturation in talking about, of course, what's on people's mind right now is COVID-19 and the whole pandemic around the world. But this moment in history where we get a chance to isolate is so important, and it's something that is so difficult to do in our lives, in our busy lives. And so this is really an opportunity. I mean, typically this would never happen. We wouldn't be at home for that long. And I have time on our hands. I mean, we're busy from home as well, but having the opportunity to really reflect and take a moment in our lives that it's like a pause in our life. It's a pause for the whole planet. I don't know if you've noticed above head, there is no planes flying, there's not many cars in the streets, the level of pollutions are dropping. Hopefully the oxygen levels are rising. There is this feeling in the morphogenetic field of this decompression in some ways. And of course, there's a feeling of anxiety that can come as well from the fear that, of the unknown, of the situation, the grief of so many people around the world for, loved ones, and the fear for families and so on. I mean, there's all this going on. And of course, economically, this has had a huge impact. It's an important moment for the way we relate to resources and to each other around the world. I have so much to say, it's hard to put it in words, and there's so much emotions behind all this. Of course, this opportunity for each individuals to reflect and take the time and somewhat, discover who we are, discover the deep level of our existence. When these things happen, whether if it's, an individual in another country, a country like that is being displaced, like millions of people have been in the last few years, in Syria or in other countries all around the world, or it is now the world experiencing, there's an opportunity to reflect about what's important. All of a sudden, the two cars and the job and all the different things that distracts us every day, and the lattes and the sunglasses and all the stuff that's around our lives, all of a sudden these things matter less. They have less meaning in our life. They do not distract us anymore. The deep feeling that I get anyway is like, oh, what is important? What is important? What if, I only have a few days left? What would be important in those moments, right? The people I love, the people, my children, of course, my family, all this, but as well, what about me? Like, who am I? What did I do here? What was I here to accomplish? And did I accomplish it? Did I discover who I am at the deepest level? Did I understand what I live in? What is this reality? How did I get here? Why am I made of this 100 billion, cells and atoms and trillions of chemical change? Who is that? And how susceptible is it? We find ourselves in a position of susceptibility, of feeling that like, wow, life hangs on a little thread, that little thread of connectivity. And when I'm talking about life, I'm only talking about this organized matter form of life. The information most likely continues. However, how fragile is our environment? I was reflecting on that the other day because I found it interesting that we're practicing social distancing, we're isolated in our homes, in our little environment, and in our little environment, isolated, we have the chance to feel more connected than ever. We have the chance to feel more connected to the whole than ever. We have the chance to feel more connected to the universe as a whole, than ever. And this is where the Resonance Science Foundation and the Resonance Academy comes in. And to me, and of course, our foundation has, to weather through these financial difficulties and was hard hit by these changes in our environment. The foundation was barely scraping by, offering courses and as well trips around the world, and the amazing gatherings that we had around the world in these most remarkable places were very much keeping the foundation financially stable and alive. And of course, now these had to be canceled. Petra had to be canceled. People had to be reimbursed, and that threw the foundation, which was already on the edge, off the edge. And it's good. It's a good thing. It forced us to clean up, to restructure, and we've been going like little bees, restructuring everything and changing everything. And in the middle of it, it was clear to me, it's like, we need to make this available for people. They're at home. They have the choice to log on to Netflix and, which in some cases you can't anymore because it's crashing, and watch all kinds of stuff, which can be fun as well, but as well to actually educate yourself in the fundamental structure of the universe, of yourself, the connection you have with it, and open the doors to a whole new learning environment, and to discuss with the community these ideas, to reframe our world and ourselves into a sustainable, connected humanity. And so it was clear as I was discussing, we had to let go of some people, we had to do all kinds of things. It was clear as we were discussing that that had to happen. There was one large difficulty, because this was after all of the complexity of reorganizing 3 organizations, the Resident Science Foundation, Taurus Tech, and Art Crystals. We arrived at this point only 5 days ago that okay, let's get what was called the delegate program, which is now Unified Science course, the Unified Science course, free to everybody to access. Let's open it up to the whole community, to the whole world, and let people study and learn and contribute their ideas and all this. So I tasked my team, which a lot of people out there think, because of the amazing material we put out and because of the polished image we have and all this, that there is hundreds of people behind this that are working diligently in producing this. The team a few days ago was reduced to about 4-5 people, and some peripheral people as well. And, the task was monumental. It was, let's completely revamp the website, which was a very complex website with a lot of plugins and a lot of complexity. And let's just take the whole thing down and come back up today with a new, more simple but effective and rapid website that will give access freely to the Unified Science course and the 6th module for everybody, and have, of course, the store with the elective courses and a membership program. And let's set up a forum for people to be able to discuss all these issues, to be able to interact, and that the whole community, the whole world can talk about these new science, this new view, this new worldview that is not only like a worldview that we're developing in our mind, but is a worldview that is changing in front of our eyes today. This is what the task was for my team 4 days ago, 5 days ago. And you guys gonna have to be indulgent because, you know, as we're talking right now, the team behind the scene is, you know, going as hard as we can because we published that website 10 minutes ago. And and it's, you know, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles working yet. You might run into little errors here and there. We're fixing it as fast as we can. But this is our offering from our heart, our team, an amazing team that has been performing for years, you know, to bring this level of information to you. We are as well, and you know, I have tasked my team in the next few weeks to do this. Going, since the course is 7 years old, we're gonna start, you know, updating the course. And you know, we appreciate all your information and comments and ideas, you know, in the forum that we've established. You can go in there. There's already, you know, threads that have been started with each of the modules so that you can comment and give us ideas and, you know, tell us where we need to update. Olivier Erol, Dr. Olivier Erol, which is on the call today, and I have been writing some of the most remarkable physics of my career in the last few months. We were writing those on the windows of my laboratory offices until 2 weeks ago or so. And now we're working on Zoom to complete them. The depth of the physics that we're writing currently is remarkable. We are getting some of the most fundamental understanding of the mechanics of creation just emerging like a flower opening, like a volcano exploding. We're having a hard time keeping up with all of the different branches of the mathematics that are emerging, you know, giving us very, very precise answers about the temperature of the universe, the mechanics of mass, the dynamics of matter creation in the universe, all of the scales. It's all coming out, all of the constants with very, very high level of accuracy, in some cases, 14-digit, you know, significant numbers, accuracy on the values. And so, you know, we're excited to be able to share this with the world. And the first step is to go and take the Unified Science course that is now free on our website. You know, you can register for it right now and go and take it. And then talk with us, get in the forum, discuss things, tell your friends, tell people you have this time now. You have this time to go and study and learn and discuss and think of new ideas, think of yourself differently. As we go through this moment in history, a moment that we all expected to occur at one point or another, a defining moment for humanity, for our systems, for how we relate to each other. All of a sudden, this virus has shown us how small our world is and how truly connected we are. And really, you know, taking this time to reflect and learn is very important. Of course, some people on the call today would love for me to start talking about, the science of virology, and we have William Brown, and we'll ask him to talk, our biophysicist on staff, and ask him to talk a little bit about that. As well, some of the information can be controversial that's out there. I think there's a good balance between everything. Um, uh, but this call is really about us connecting and, opening our learning community to the world, and to bring, a deep sense of ourselves. And in order, people, I said this before, but people say, the most important thing, and we teach this to our children, right? The most important thing is to love yourself. But what is ourself? How do I love something I don't know what it is? What is that? How did I get here? What is this that animates me? What is myself? This is the beginning, of discovering this. We are writing the physics of who we are at the deepest level. And so that it's not just a belief, it's not just like a faith, or a dogma, but it's actually the way things are, so that you actually know at the deepest level of your existence who you are. And that is not separated from the matter from which you're made of, right? That is continuous with matter. It's not like there's consciousness or spirit and matter. It's all one thing. And that unity and that oneness is described and is starting to get flushed out in that course that we just made free and available to everybody. Of course, more mathematics and physics have to be written, and that course is only really a layman description of what has been written in mathematics and physics. We will publish a PhD level course eventually for the people that are more technical. This is coming right along. It's coming with some of the equations that we're finishing right now. We have found incredible things about the nature of our reality and the nature of our existence, and we want to share it with you. So please participate, contribute, give us, your thoughts, and please be respectful of one another on the forum. Please allow people to have their own ideas and express themselves freely and naturally without having fears to get slammed or, to get into difficult interaction. Please be kind with each other. This is a time in history where we have to be kind and take care of each other and be kind with ourselves. We have to make sure that we stay strong, that our immune system, that our biological structure is nicely aligned and everything is working well, and you're drinking enough fluids and you're taking enough vitamin C and you're keeping all systems on go, and that you're taking care of the earlier generations that have brought us, in and has contributed tremendously to the evolution of our society, to take care of each other, and to take care of ourselves. And part of taking care of yourself is to learn at the deepest level who you are and what is the reality you live in. And this is what we are offering, a view a little portal into that, a little lens from which you can look at the world that may be different from what you have been exposed to before. So on that, I wanted to thank you all for being on the call, and thank all of the people throughout the years that have contributed to the delegate program and to the residence faculty, the residence academy, and the residence, the early residence project in 2004. There has been so much dedication from so many people, and that continues to occur here on the call today, but in the background right now with people, feverishly, attempting to get the website to function the way we need it to function. So thank you so much.
Look, do you see how excited everybody is, Nassim, about the offer? The second that you started to announce it, everybody was like so thrilled. And maybe while you're taking a look at that, I can just give people a little bit more information about it. Many of you probably have already gone on to resonantscience.org, and you'll find that there's actually a new website there. And as Nassim said, it's simple, it's just starting, and over the weeks to come, more things will be added. And please be patient, right? If something doesn't work, you can let us know, but just know that we're going to be continuing to grow it. In addition to the delegate program, or the Unified Science course, now we're calling it that, being free, we're also going to offer over the next 6 weeks, starting next Wednesday, every Wednesday at noon, we are going to be exploring the 6 modules of the course. So you can jump into the course, and then you can come on with us every Wednesday at noon for the next 6 weeks. And Nassim and different members of the faculty are going to go through the different modules. And it's really important that we get this kind of whole view of what that course has to offer. Those 6 modules were made in a sequence, and they were telling a comprehensive story. So over these 6 weeks, you're going to get a sense of why worldview, why is it important that we think differently, what do we need to know about modern physics in order to understand unified physics, what are the ancient origins of this information, and what are the implications and applications. So you'll be able to spend time with Nassim, and that's also included in the gift. There's no charge for that, right? And then once we complete that, you will have the opportunity to become a contributing member of the Resonance Science Foundation. And as many of you have said, like, how can we donate or what can we do? Becoming a member and paying just $5 a month or $50 a year, you'll have access to Live with Nassim, monthly calls with Nassim, monthly calls with the faculty, breakout groups, all kinds of resources that we have developed. So that's an opportunity for you to help us to be able to make more information available. So we hope that you'll jump in and become a contributing member and help us to further the mission. And for those of you, as Nassim said, the people that have been in the academy and have been in the community for so long, it's a big thank you to you, because what we've been able to generate together in building this over the years has made it possible for us to be in this moment. And everyone that's already part of the academy, you're going to get emails. Penny is going to be sending them out. Penny's our customer service. She's been taking really good care of everybody for a long time. Penny, you can wave because I think I'm on the gallery view here. So you're going to be getting an email over the next week of how your enrollment will get transferred over to the new system. And one thing I really want to invite the community that's been with us for a long time is that we're going to be welcoming in a lot of new people. It's going to be a huge wave of new people joining our community, and I know we've been getting ready for it. And so please support us by being part of the welcome committee, right? Like, invite people in, and when they come in the breakout groups, model what it's like to be in a learning community where we're free to explore these ideas and really open to express the science and our experience of it together. So you guys can be our community with open arms, welcoming all these new people to come in. So just go to resonantscience.org. You'll be able to sign up for the course. Those of you who are already part of the course, please go and check it out and become a contributing member. That's what's going to help us to be able to show up and be able to provide more and do more. And starting next week on Wednesdays at noon, same time as this call, it'll be live streamed on Facebook as well. We're going to do the live program. So just to give you a little bit more insight into all of the great gifts. And Nassim, thank you. And the team really did rally, did such a beautiful job. Angel, who's not on the call, and David, and Jamie, and Penny have been working their butts off, Olivier. So good job, everyone. And thank you, community, for being such loyal followers. And we're excited to welcome more and more people in.
Yes, and Olivier, a few things. One is that I wanted to thank all of the contributing members, that were taking the course. You will receive an email and we'll explain to you how to get back in and what you will receive, but as well, and we appreciate your patience with that, and and your willingness to do this transfer with this gift with us. And as well, we will have the French Unified Science course online. We couldn't pull both at the same time in 4 days. So we will have the French Delegate Unified Science course online in the next few days, most likely by next week sometime. And Olivier will host, a French question and answer as well, so that we can discuss the course with the French community as well.
Yeah.
So at this point, I wanted to, we have Marshall on the call. We have Jamie, and we have William and Olivier. I was wondering if you guys wanted to take some of the questions. I'm sure that some people would love to hear from William about COVID-19 and, maybe just simple things that people can do to stay healthy and to transition this moment. This, I want to say, I just want to let you know that the environment that we have been living in for the last few decades prepared us for this. You need to know you are prepared for this. Your immune system, your being, your consciousness, everything. All you have to do really is just align with it. Don't see it as the enemy. In biology, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, William, because biology is not my field of expertise, but in biology, you could think of a virus as a piece of information, as a structure that's informing you, and so beyond, and we have people, at our offices that sadly have lost family members already, so I'm not minimizing the impact, but I want to say that that it has an opportunity as well to inform us. We have been informed through the biological, bacterial and viral structure of our morphogenetic field of our planet in the last few years on how to deal with this. And so, William, do you want to talk a little bit?
Yeah, well, you couldn't be more correct in that viruses are information that can get into your body and also out of your body. So that's actually a really salient point to some of what I have to say on the nature of viruses. But it is a really interesting time because it's a great time in a sense because people are really questioning a lot. They're questioning authority. They're questioning what they've learned. They've got access to a whole wealth of information. They can conduct their own research, of course, via the internet. So it's a time of a lot of questioning, which is just, I think, fantastic. But it does lead to some interesting circumstances in science, such as, having to defend things I never thought I'd have to defend, such as, the idea that the world is round, that there's a gravitational force. The electric universe folks don't think there's such things as gravity and black holes. And more recently, defending the idea that there is such a thing as viruses. It's been interesting just because there's a lot of ideas going around about what's happening, and a lot of the information I've been receiving and questions I've been receiving are around is there even such a thing as viruses? Well, I can just say from my background in academia and research that absolutely yes, there are such things as viruses. I worked at, I did research at New York University at LaGuardia Medical Center with applied recombinant DNA technology and worked exclusively with viruses, mainly bacteriophages for transferring genetic material, transferring information. Because you can transfer information that you constructed, a DNA sequence, into a bacterial vector and transform it with that information. I also, it looks like there's some trouble with my sound. I don't know if I'm being heard so well. But I also purified virus and looked at it under an electron microscope. I've seen it with my own two eyes. There are such things as viruses. And there's also a long history of viruses emerging that are newly infectious viruses, emergent pathogens. One of the strongest forms of evidence of this is your own genome, which is 50% recombinant DNA viruses. So 50% of your genome, that's roughly 1.5 billion nucleotide sequences, have a viral origin. It was inserted into your ancestors via a retroviral vector, retrovirus. These are what are known as human endogenous retroviral elements, and they're actually critical to the functionality of your cell and your biology. They have contributed hundreds of thousands of gene regulatory elements. They've contributed new genes. The list of things that these elements do are quite substantial. And that actually goes back to the idea of where do viruses come from? And actually early on in my career, I developed a complete model of where viruses come from. Because probably early on, the first viruses were developed by the cells themselves. The cells developed a mechanism to package up useful DNA and share it with their neighbor. That's horizontal gene transfer. Because remember, for a few billion years, life on Earth didn't reproduce sexually. It reproduced asexually, just by dividing. Everything was a clone, essentially, of itself. So actually, probably the great majority of viruses are beneficial. They just transfer useful DNA, horizontal gene transfer. Of course, you would never know about the beneficial viruses because you only know there's a virus there, a little 100 nanometer sized particle. You only know it's there when it causes something bad to happen. You know, so in any case, there's been, you can look in your own genome and see just a history that comprises millions of years of interaction with viruses. The legacy is in your own DNA. And so, you know, regardless of what kind of conspiracy theories are out there right now on where this latest virus came from, it's important to realize that whether or not whether or not you believe that there is even a virus right now, which many actually don't, or whether you believe that this is just a cause of electromagnetic pollution, the fact of the matter is that zoonotic transmission of viruses does occur and results in newly emergent diseases caused by viruses. So whether or not, you know, the conspiracies around this one is that there is or isn't or whatever, that will happen at some point. So if anything, we can use this as a training drill to prepare for when that does indeed happen. Because in my estimation, it's happening right now. And the thing about it is that it will happen again, especially because of the circumstances of our current society, civilization, the way that we've been treating Earth. The rapid deforestation and loss of habitat exacerbates this problem and leads to more rapid and more virulent emergence of infectious diseases, because the whole planet's under stress, the whole ecosystem, all the animals are under stress, they're losing habitat, they're getting closer together.
William, people are having a little bit of a hard time hearing you, so try to talk closer to mic, maybe.
Okay.
I wanted to as well, I think it's important as well to, I just want to clarify that, yes, you know, there wasn't there like a divergence between two of the thoughts at the beginning of virology, where, you know, Pasteur was, you know, battling with other scientists. Some believe that, you know, it was the environment or, you know, the soup, you know, and the other ones, you know, that there was viruses. And, you know, my opinion has always been, well, it's most likely both, right? Basically, the environment, you know, either promotes the virology to replicate and prosper, or it does not, right? Doesn't mean there's no viruses, but it is not just the virus, it's what the virus is able to live in, right? And so the two are very important. If the environment is not suitable for that set of information, for that level of virology, then the virus is unable to, you know, have the replicating power that it has otherwise. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, and certainly it's probably why in more recent decades, there's been more frequent epidemic and even pandemic episodes, is because probably the you know, the environment is getting less and less healthy. And so that goes directly to this idea of the 5G and other wireless communications technologies. So certainly, you know, having a high electromagnetic load of artificially sourced EMF is not a conducive environment to staying healthy. And in fact, it has been demonstrated in the lab that certain radio frequencies can in fact activate endogenous retroviral elements, and even retroviruses themselves. So these are, you know, viruses, viral elements that are already in the genome, in your DNA.
Yeah. So it's not like one thing or another, or, you know, it's the whole thing.
It
Really,
is.
this is what I'm trying to get to. It's like, it's more complex than just saying, oh, it's this or it's that. It's the virus, it's the electromagnetic radiation, it's all, it's really, you know, like our whole relationship to nature that we need to really re-examine, and our whole relationship to ourselves. How are we treating ourselves? What is our body doing? And, you know, I see in the comments here, you know, people asking, you know, was it man-made? Was it natural? And so on. You know, that's, you know, I've been talking, you know, William and I have been talking to geneticists in the last few days and so on, that were involved in, you know, culturing viruses in animal tissue, including bat tissue and all this. And of course, you know, some of the work that we have been doing maybe innocently, and you see, you know, assigning an intent to what's going on is not necessarily accurate or necessary. But there is many people that have been working in a high level security lab, you know, working on, you know, culturing viruses to produce certain, you know, compounds for vaccination and so on. These people, you know, in many cases, including the geneticists that we were talking to that used to work in those laboratories, you know, are thinking that they're doing something good for humanity, that they're helping, you know. It's not necessarily malintent. And so what's really important is, how do we deal with it now? And how do we change the course of humanity, right? So William, how can people, you know, one thing is that we've been doing some tests. Now they're not finished and they're not, you know, compiled yet, but we've been doing some tests, you know, showing efficacy of the ARC crystals in helping the body, or at least biology, deal better with electromagnetic radiation and so on, which would, you know, if your body is strong, then there's a good chance you're going to have a minimal response to this virus. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So actually, starting over a year ago, we began doing testing on the effects of the ARC crystal on electromagnetic radiation, artificially sourced electromagnetic radiation, such as Wi-Fi and cell phone radiation. So, you know, this is microwave, millimeter wave radiation. Because, you know, obviously, you know, this kind of radiation can be very disruptive to the biological system and lead to an unhealthy state. And indeed, in our testing, you know, that's what we see every single time. So we've been growing plants, germinating plants, germinating seeds with very close proximity to a Wi-Fi source or a cell phone, and the health of the plant is significantly diminished, and in some cases, seeds don't even germinate. Well, you know, we'll see maybe a 70% germination rate in the seeds, whereas away from such close proximity to artificial radiation source, you know, it's at least 80 to 90% successful germination rate of seeds. But what we've seen is that when we include the ARC crystal in the configuration, so we've got a Wi-Fi source, we've got a cell phone, we've got seeds germinating, plants growing. When we place the ARC crystal in proximity, between the seeds and the electromagnetic source, we get a recovery. So the seeds had a 70% germination rate when they were directly exposed to the electromagnetic radiation. With the arc crystal, they rebound back to a 90% successful germination rate, almost as well as what we see with no Wi-Fi source, which is fairly remarkable. Of course, the plant's grown away from a Wi-Fi source, and with arc crystal, you get almost 100% successful germination rate, and the plant growth rate is 100 to 200% greater. But so, and so this has been a year that we've been testing that. So we've got time-lapse footage of it. We've got quantitative measurements, documentation of it. It's at this point fairly conclusive that it is having a beneficial effect. And that goes back to what you were saying about the environment, right, being a factor in this, because what, as we've discussed, is probably the most likely mechanism is the boost in vitality that the arc crystal is giving the biological system. So by boosting the immune system functions, boosting the metabolic efficiency and signal transduction functions of the body, it's healthier. And so it's more resistant to pathogenesis,
right?
To
And
electromagnetic radiation.
Right. And it's congruent with some of the experiments that were done by Montagnier, a Nobel Prize winner that discovered the genes for HIV and so on, and that worked in that field, showed that there was very impactful relationship between the structure of water and the electromagnetic field in its surrounding and so on. So basically, what would you recommend? Of course, for people that don't know, the arc crystal is a little product that came out of our labs that, where we have been successful in creating a coherent oscillating connection between a crystalline structure and the structure of the vacuum. And you'll learn about it when you take the free Unified Science course now. I just want to say that, but you don't need an arc crystal to be healthy and be strong. There's many things people can take, many minerals, making sure you're up on your minerals, that you're drinking lots of water. What else, William?
Yeah. So actually what I've seen is there's been studies on including minerals and polyphenolic compounds. So minerals, specifically zinc, is huge, especially with the coronavirus. Because what the studies have found is that if you can get zinc, so in the cellular system, it's going to be in ionic form, salt form. If you can get zinc ions into the cell, you can actually inhibit the replication of the virus. So just a little bit of cell biology, the virus uses what's called an RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. And that is an enzyme, a protein enzyme that it uses to replicate its genome, which is an RNA genome. One of the things that zinc does is that it makes that enzyme, that polymerase, RNA polymerase enzyme, non-functional, so that the RNA, the virus is not able to replicate itself, and also it's not able to hijack the cellular machinery quite as well. Interestingly, that's also a way that chloroquine works, hydroxychloroquine. Although the benefit of zinc is that it's not toxic to the body. It's very beneficial. It's used in myriad functions in the body. Now, one of the things though is that it's very difficult for cells to take in zinc. So that's where having structured water, like what you can do with arc crystal structure in water, that will increase the cell's ability to transport ions into the body. It transfers it via channels that are filled with atomically ordered structured water. And again, that's one of the reasons why the arc crystal, its effects on water is so healthy to the body.
Right.
In addition, polyphenolic compounds. These are plant-derived polyphenol compounds. So things like quercetin, um, uh, EGCG from green tea, epigatican galactic acid, EGCG. Um, these polyphenolic compounds change the permeability of the cellular membrane and allow more of those minerals to come in. When those minerals are in the body, in the cell, it not only strengthens all the functions of the cell, its natural functions that needs to be healthy, it inhibits functions of any kind of virus. It's not just coronavirus. It works equally well for influenza, which is actually, a problem as well. The flu is still going around. The antioxidant properties of these compounds is really important as well. And that's where naturally occurring antioxidants, the most potent of which are things like vitamin C, vitamin E, getting high doses of bioavailable vitamin C, tocopherols, that's the vitamin E class. Those, again, change the permeability of the cell and allow more ions in, more minerals like zinc.
Yeah,
But
because at the end of the day, people that get sick and eventually perish from this, perish not necessarily from the virus. And so it's actually incorrect to say the virus kills you, because it's actually not the virus, but it's a result of cytokine storm, basically your own immune system overreacting to the invasion, to the virus, and to the damage that was done to the cells, and then basically filling the lungs with fluids, and that's what eventually gets you, right?
Yeah. So it's not the virus itself at all.
So you have to stop the inflammation. You have to, so it's an oxidative system result. So you have to create antioxidant, biology, change the chemistry or the electric signaling of your body so that the inflammation can come down.
And that's where the antioxidants are so effective as immunomodulators, because a lot of that cytokine signaling of the immune system is it's occurring through, in many cases, oxidative species, such as nitric oxide. And in fact, one of its inflammatory responses is to produce a whole bunch of hydrogen peroxide, which helps to kill pathogens. But when the immune system freaks out and just does it in a uncontrolled manner, it damages healthy tissues too. So something about these antioxidants, these polyphenols, and even the minerals is that they are immunomodulatory, so you don't get an overreactive immune response, which is what causes the systemic shock, which is what causes the multiple organ failure that leads to the fatality, the morbidity that we're seeing with the COVID-19.
Okay, so I don't want to spend too much time on this. It's easy to get sucked in, and there's so much information out there. I just wanted you guys to have a little bit of it here, that and I'll try to do some more in the next few months or in the next few weeks, with geneticist guests on the line, so we can discuss the very specific science about it. But basically, stay healthy, by taking care of yourself. And it's not just the chemistry of what you're putting in your body, but as well is where your head is at, and not just your head, but your heart, your whole body, your level of stress, your level of fear, your level of happiness, of joy. Um, uh, Masters have been put in jails before and reported that it was, some of the most joyful moments of their life, because they had all this time to meditate and discover themselves. And so, now that we're isolated and we have this opportunity, um, and I'm not excluded to this. I mean, it's an effort for me, for instance, to watch the news and, and throughout watching the news, and definitely after watching the news, trying to get my cortisol levels back down, get out of the fear, and, get back to center and accept the situation. It's like, be in the moment. I'm good and I'm healthy, and if I'm not, I can take care of this, I can beat this, it's no problem, right? Knowing that you are connected to the source of life. That's why you have life, and you have access. And how you think about life, how you think about your daily life, how you interact. If you're in continuous fear, then, clearly, I mean, this is not like some woo-woo thing, this is clearly monitored, clearly defined, it's been measured many times over. Your body starts secreting very specific chemicals, that and hormones and so on, that are not necessarily conducive to having a strong immune system, to have a good sleep, to be in a position to be able to encounter this type of challenge in your environment. I like to think about it. I used to be a free climber. I mean, I was a climbing guide for many years. I was a guide in the mountains in Canada for many years. And I used to free solo. That was, I still do it a little bit, but it freaks out everybody, so I don't do it so much. But, I used to go up thousands of feet every day for hours, climbing the rock without ropes, just, climbing shoes and a chuck bag, and go up thousands of feet and, down climb and up climb and do all this stuff. And it was some of the most memorable moments of my life. They were amazing. But there was moment, like I remember one specific one where I was about maybe like, a few thousand feet up on the cliff, on the cliff in which you look like an ant if you look from the ground. And and it started to drizzle. And although this was a climb, I knew the moves and everything. The drizzling on this kind of polished granite becomes like ice rink, almost instantaneously. As soon as it reaches a certain level of saturation of water, it becomes like very slippery. And in these moments, you have this choice, and when you put yourself in these positions where any errors is fatal, you have this opportunity to actually be in this very moment, at that very particular place where you you have a choice. You can start to think, I'm gonna fall. And the amazing thing, and the reason I'm telling you this story, the amazing thing is that as soon as you have those thoughts, or you're starting to see yourself, falling backwards and splattering on the bottom, as soon as you have those thoughts, and I have it right now as I'm telling you, your hands start sweating. And as soon as your hands start sweating, you start slipping more. And more you slip, more you get afraid. And more you get afraid, more your hands are sweating. And now you're stuck in this downward spiral into the abyss. And if you follow that spiral, you will fall off that rock. You will. And it wasn't just one time in that situation where it started drizzling. It was in other times where I did on-site free solo, which is, again, a level up from free soloing, in which you've never climbed a climb, so you don't know what's coming, you don't know how hard it is, and you're free soloing, so you don't have any safety. And, I was in position, in which I had that choice. I was in difficult position, and it's like, I'm not sure I can make that next move. But I know that if I stay right here, and if I continue to be in fear, I'm going to continue to sweat, and I will fall off this rock. So it's an effort to control your thoughts, to go back to center, to recenter yourself, to come back to a place where you realize, wait a minute, it's a perfect day. Even though it's drizzling, I'm alive. I'm breathing, I'm good, I'm not falling, and I can make these moves. And I'm seeing myself on top of this mountain, having the best day ever, and, just joyful to go back to writing physics in my band, which was what I was doing at the time. And, everything is fine. And as soon as I would start having these thoughts, everything would stabilize, again, because sometimes my foot would have started to shake like this and all this, everything shaking. Everything would stabilize. I would breathe and I would be okay. And I would do the move and I'm still here. So, the results were positive. So, it's an effort right now. There's a lot of reason to be in fear. There's a lot of media out there that will scare you, and they are not necessarily doing it on purpose, but it is critical that you're able to receive the information, integrate it, but know that you are okay, that you're centered, that you're good, that going into the fear will not help deal with the situation. It will make it worse. And so if you have to stop and just sit down and just close your eyes, and you don't have to call it meditate, you can think of it as focusing or whatever, to just clear your thoughts, go back to center. And going back to center can be as simple as saying, you know what, I'm doing just fine. I'm alive. My kids are good. I'm good. Whatever situation you're in, right? And then just take that moment by moment, and assess the situation and continue to make actions that are commensurate with the moment, not with possibilities of the future or what may happen or what's, all that's not real. What is happening right now? And then you have this amazing possibility. I hope that helps. I really, really hope I can help you feel that centeredness and feel that place of power that you have inside of you. And this is something I can talk a little bit with Olivier. Olivier, in the last few months, we've been doing a little bit of physics. right? In between taking care of all the other things that we take care of. Olivier, you want to come on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good to hear you. And some of the physics we've been doing have been interesting because for people to know, I'd like people to know where a little bit we're at, right? So we worked on describing the holographic mass solution, right, in terms of statistical entropy. That is, the basic thermodynamics of a system, correct?
Yes. So it's statistical entropy, and it's based similar to the information theory, where the information is described in terms of entropy. And basically, we are showing that, like Nassim showed in his first paper, the holographic mass solution, that the mass is the consequence of an information transfer between the inside of the proton and the outside.
Right. And so basically we're describing the fluid dynamics of the information transfer in the system. Could we can talk about it that way, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so Olivier is a typical physicist. Usually they don't say much, they just say yes, no, and so we're describing, and from there we were able to describe like basically the Brownian motion of the Planck field particles interacting. So like how the particle interact together in terms of like a gas. This is something that Einstein and his wife worked on, right?
Yeah, exactly. So basically we come up with a mechanical model to explain all the physics from the Planck scale to the universal scale.
Right. And so as we did that, now we can describe basically the Planck field like a Planck plasma.
Yeah, a Planck plasma that is changing form from a plasma, a gas, to a solid, with a very interesting observation for the structure of space-time. Maybe you want to elaborate about the crystalline structure.
Yeah, and this is where I'm getting. This is why I'm getting you to talk about this. The basically there's a phase transition that's occurring in the plasma, right? And when this phase transition occurs, we see it as an energetic effect that we measure in thermodynamics. So for instance, when we did this whole exercise and then we exported it to the size of the universe, we got the right temperature for what we measure in the background radiation of the universe, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Like the black body radiation of the universe is given precisely the CMB temperature, so the background temperature of the universe.
So it's almost like we treated the universe as a quantum object.
Yeah, our black hole, and we are living inside this black hole.
Yeah, it's remarkable. And all the math comes out right? We get the right temperatures, we get the right scales, we get all the masses and all the energy level. But what's really interesting is that when we look at how this crystal formed, think about it as like, it's like almost a phase transition between water and ice, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like any other medium that we can experience, like water. Yeah, water is a pretty good example because we know it. We know it well. So it's interesting because we are seeing that this Planck field, Planck medium is going from a plasma medium around a plasma phase around the proton, and then it far away from the proton, it becomes a crystal, which is counterintuitive because everyone is talking about the space-time as a superfluid, and it seems it's not really a superfluid most of the time.
Right, it's a superfluid only very close to the horizon, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so you could almost think about as of if space-time was a crystal, like a ice crystal, right? Very rigid on long distances, close to the horizon, it's like a fluid, it's like a superfluid, right?
Yeah,
So
it's like when you are skiing on the snow.
yes,
You are melting the snow while you are skiing,
yes, under the
creating like
ski,
under
yes,
the ski.
yeah. So it's like you're like when you move, you're basically melting the crystal, right? And you could almost think of inertia as this moment in which you got to overcome the rigidity of the crystal, right? The energy you have to put to overcome the rigidity of the crystal. And so basically you're melting the crystal, and as you're melting the crystal, right, you're leaving a mark in the crystal of a space-time. You're leaving information along that path on the structure of space-time.
Yeah, so it's very interesting because it gives us the answer on how the information is stored in the space-time, but also the origin of the charge and how the charge emerged from this dynamic.
Yeah. So it's been very exciting, working with Olivier and other and the other scientists at the foundation, to describe this as we worked on the equations. And I was pushing Olivier to like, no, it's like, it will work, although it sounded completely like out there. Olivier has this great quality that he's able to see past what is known, and has that capacity to see how it should be expressed mathematically in a very powerful way. So it's been so productive. And the reason I'm talking about all this and where I'm getting is that this water structure, this plasma field of space-time that we're describing, and we even found like a clear relationship between the way the plasma organizes and change phase, and the Lib's constant, the way the thermodynamics occur, and the geometry, which happens to be tetrahedral, and some of the geometry I've been talking about all this time. We're finding that there's a direct connection between that and the structure of biology, meaning that you can go from the water structure, you have an analog in the structure of space-time. You have a relationship. You can describe a relationship across all the scales based on this very specific geometry. So eventually, Olivier, we can push the equation and start to be able to quantify the information transfer in the system, right, in the fluid dynamics and in the relationship of the phase transition for eventually to get to consciousness.
Yeah, it will be a very interesting part. And it's very interesting because even the mainstream science are starting looking at it and looking at the origin of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And so so since all of the physics are coherent and all of these how do you say, these constants are coming out very clearly. We know how solid. I mean, at one point, you remember, Olivier, we were in my office, the sun was shining through the windows, and we were looking at the equations, and we both looked at each other, and you said something like, it's so solid, we can't move it anywhere. And it's like, yeah, it's like the theory is so solid, it's referencing on all level with so high accuracy that it's like, it's amazingly congruent and consistent. So we know that when we get there, we will have answers that we might not be able to verify quantitatively, meaning in experiments like measuring the information of consciousness, but we know that those answers will be very precise and most likely correct.
Yeah, we can make prediction like for the neutrino mass, but right now the precision of the measurement is not able to measure to confirm it experimentally.
Right. So we can make predictions and eventually, hopefully, make predictions about the nature of consciousness that will be able to be confirmed, hopefully, in the future, which leads as well to the possibility of quantum computing, of course, energy extraction, gravity control, and all this. Thank you, Olivier. Thank you for your great work.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the call.
It's a lot of fun working on that.
Yes, you're having fun. I am too. It's great. Okay, Teresa?
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking Nassim if you might provide a little centering before we go today. And I'm wondering if that might be a good time now. Lots of people were asking for it. Do you feel inspired to do that today?
Sure, I do. And, I wanted to, so on finishing, if you want to bring the frame.
Gallery view?
Yeah. On finishing, I wanted to encourage people to be mindful that Teresa, I'm seeing you. Is that correct, or?
No, I put it on the gallery view. Why don't you try clicking on your gallery view, and I see everybody.
Okay.
You guys see everybody?
Yes. So basically, I mean, I had other things on the call I wanted to talk about. We don't really have the time. I mean, we've gone over already. I'm sorry about that. But I wanted to say that this is a fantastic, community we have. And that this is an amazing time in history. And it's really, really important to keep that perspective, no matter what's happening. This is an amazing time in history. It's a time that has the potential to transform our culture at a very deep level. It's a very important time. And each one of you has a really important contribution to gift the world, like each one of you. And for us, our contribution is this unified science program that we have been, that we just released for free. And I hope people are able to go over there and register. As I said, we might have little bugs here and there, but please be patient with us and let us know. And then talk with us. We need to talk. We need to unify. This is the time where we can unify, not only with each other, but unify within ourselves. you know, and unify with your cells, for instance. Unify with the 100 trillion cells that you're made of. Talk to your cells, tell them you love them and that you're happy that they are going to stay healthy and that they're going to be strong, and that it's going to be okay, and and to connect with each other, to connect with ourselves, and to learn together. The delegate program or the unified science program we just made available was written 7 years ago. We have so much more. And this is a great base to lift off from, and discuss in the forum and think about and transition to a higher level. And as you saw with Olivier and with William, there's a lot more that we have to contribute, and we're gonna try to make it as available as possible in the context of the busyness of everybody in our team right now, and to update it. So from our hearts to your hearts, in this time where we must be strong together, let's read the sixth module of the Unified Science course together, and meet, for the next 6 weeks on Wednesdays at 12, and talk about each module and learn, and think about it, and explore it together. It's gonna be amazing. I'm excited about it, and I'm so glad that you guys are part of this. And please let people know. We need your help. We need your help to transfer the information to grow, and we need your help to maintain our foundation alive. And so if you can become a contributing member, donate, do whatever you can, so that we can continue to provide this and we can continue to update you, because we have so much amazing things that are going on in the background that we want to bring to you, including some of the stuff that we're doing in identifying good ways to produce electromagnetic devices, not only just to produce energy or gravitational field, which is already remarkable, but as well to be able to, identify very specific frequencies that can sanitize, bacteria or viral infection from our environment very quickly. This is very much possible, and actually papers have been published already in the mainstream that showing that certain frequencies are very destructive to this kind of viruses. So thank you for your participation. And on closing, as Teresa requested, I'm happy to help us bring a focus into our being, to unify with our cells and with the atoms that makes up our cells, and with this fundamental plasma field. So if everybody takes a moment to just relax all of the muscles in their body and close their eyes, and close off from the outside a little bit, just forget about all the stresses of the day, forget about all the stresses involved with this change that's occurring in our world, and to go back to a reference towards yourself and be with yourself for a moment. And in that place, to just breathe and be grateful for this great breath this great breath that nourishes your blood in oxygen. And that exhales all of the waste that needs to be removed from your body. And to be grateful for that breath and to feel your connection with that breath. And as you follow one of the breath in, to follow it through the lung tissue into the bloodstream, and then to follow it through the bloodstream, through all of your veins and arteries in your body, all the way to all of the little vessels that go all the way to the tissues of your skin, and the nourishment of all the cells around these vessels, and to feel of all of those cells in your body in unification, in unison, singing, oscillating, ringing the coherency of your body, working together continuously, uninterruptedly, and to feel the gratitude for this amazing mechanisms that you're made of. And then to feel the atoms that makes up these cells, about 100 trillion atoms per cell that makes up these cells, and to feel the connection through those cells to the atoms. And now to experience yourself at all of these atoms, trillions and trillions of atoms that makes up your body, and to unify with those, to be one with those, to realize that they're intricate component of your existence. And at that level of awareness, to see that you are an electromagnetic structure, and then to continue that awareness into the center of each one of those atoms, the nuclei, the proton that makes up the nuclei, and to jump into all of these nuclei that makes up your existence, to the Planck field scale, to the plasma scale of the Planck field, the structure of the vacuum, to feel this fundamental energy feeding your atoms, feeding the nuclei of your atoms and the electrons, feeding the biology at the larger scale, and ultimately feeding your existence. To be aligned with that conduit of energy, that conduit of life, that makes up your existence. And to source from it, to remember our source, being this field that connects us all and that nourishes us every second of the day. From that level of awareness, we open our eyes and walk into this world.
Thank you so much, Nassim. such a beautiful call today, and for the team for all the work that just happened behind the scenes, some late nights, and a lot of love and energy went into making this day possible. And so we just say blessings to the team and to the community that's hung in there with us all this time. This is really a gift from not only the foundation, but from the entire community to the world. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, to be able to have you, every one of you out there, you know, connected and in relationship with our community and with me is such a gift. And I'm so blessed to have all of you and to be part of your life and for you all to be part of mine. And whether, you know, it is people in the past that have been there or people that are there today, you know, my gratitude and my appreciation for all of you is deeply felt. And it really comes from my heart to yours. And please, while you're out there, be calm. Try your best to stay out of fear. And remember that you are connected to an amazing universe that is unified, that is with you every moment, and that you have all of what you need to be the most powerful agent of transformation for our world. Thank you so much, everybody.
Beautiful, Nassim. Nassim's also going to be on Unified this weekend on Saturday as part of the 12 hours. I think he's going to be more in the morning, along with Marshall Lefferts, and other members of our team will be kind of at some time during that morning time. So please join us there, and then we'll see you next Wednesday. And please share the link to the resonanceScience.org website and let everybody you know that the course is available for free. Let's build this community and let's have a really wonderful 6 weeks all together. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Blessings.
Stay safe out there. Much love.
Stay well.
Thank you.
Blessings.
See you soon.
Bye-bye. There we go.